Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome.
Hello.
So good to see you all. Thanks for joining me. It's Wednesday, 7 o'clock in Los Angeles. I'm actually on the East Coast visiting mom in North Carolina. And tonight we're zooming into wine as we do every Wednesday on a different grape variety, a different country, different journey. And we've got some great guests joining us tonight. So let's go into our first wine tonight. This is a Muscadet Sauvignon sur Lit. You can see all of that on the label. Muscadet is the place. Sauvignon. It is sur Lit, on top of the lees. These wines are really an iconic expression of the very eastern side of the Loire Valley, close to the ocean, made for oysters and seafood, crispy, fresh salinity. This is a producer that's 8 generations of winemaking. The winery has been making Muscadet since 1723. Now, here's what you need to know about Muscadet. Muscadet is made from Melon de Bourguignon, and this producer has 74 acres of vines. Really beautiful land, less traveled, a little less frequent, tourist destination. But if you did get there, you'd find baleen oysters, amazing food, great, great butter and dairy. Um, Melon de Bourguignon used to be a grape variety you'd find in Burgundy, but over time got pushed out of Burgundy and really found its home along the ocean in the town of Muscadet, in the area known as Muscadet, the appellation of origin control, Muscadet. And so the grape variety, Melon de Bourguignon, we're looking at wine that spends time aged on lees, typically in large tank, might be stainless steel, it might be something fairly inert, fairly non-oxidative. 15.95. Just incredible. These are the same price that they were 20 years ago. Um, yes, all things considered, probably looking at a bottle of wine that's trapped in its price point because of a large amount of supply. But this is a very good and noble producer. There's a few of them, and they all carry a similar price point. At 15.95, this is a great deal. Um, and you'll find lesser producers about the same price point. So really shop your producer. This one's really good, and I love carrying this wine. So we'll move on and we'll open up wine number two because I'm starting to sweat now after realizing all the pain I just caused you. So let's go in there and get a great, not just a regular Sancerre, but really a special producer, Vacheron. Want to make sure you guys can see the screen okay. And there's no other noise. All right. Let's see what happened there. Back. Just gotta stop share for a second, get this thing right. All right, there we go. So first of all, this is a brand new 2024, just came in. It's a very allocated noble brand in Sancerre. I have a very good relationship with the importer, and I've been asking for, I usually get a couple of cases a year, and I've been asking for larger and larger allocations. We've had 24 is a tough finish to get a bunch of it, but I asked at the right moment, it just landed, and I got a little bit more than probably I should have. Um, so, 2024, a great vintage, but a vintage that started off in April. I was in France in April of 2024, and we saw the farmers panicking. There was incredible amount of pressure from cold temperatures and hail. that took out large amount percentages of their vineyard land. So that type of start really reduces the crop, and the small crop you get can end up being excellent. And I think that's what we're just going to see with the 2024 vintage in Sancerre. And let's go and learn a little bit more about this great brand. We're on now the extreme western side of the Loire Valley, down in the Sancerre area. And if you look at the map, you can see there's also some satellites and other areas that you might recognize, like Puy-Fumé, just to the extreme west of Sancerre. And to the east, you see Menetou-Salon, which is considered a satellite of Sancerre. These are the Sauvignon Blanc areas. And if you continue on the map, I'll annotate to show you what I'm talking about. You can come out here to Quincy. I think we still have a little bit of Quincy and a little bit of Rouille. And these really make some pretty nice wines. They tend to cost a lot less than Sancerre, as they are satellites. I'm not saying they're just as good, um, but there are some really interesting characteristics that each of them have, and I really like them uh, at their price. I think the Rui is around 20 bucks, and so is the Quincy. Manitou is right about there too. And your average Sancerres are now in the mid 30s to mid 40s. And we have a very good price on this one, which I'll share with you, but this one is a little bit of a premium. Get rid of those little marks and I'll continue. Here we go. Jean Laurent and Jean-Dominique Vacheron are our winemakers, highly respected in the region. Uh, Not been around all that long. And there's a lot of French families that really got started after World War II, and it took maybe until the 70s and early 80s for things to really start to happen, especially in wine. As wine really started to take off in the 70s and into the 80s, and of course it continued to grow and grow and grow, and maybe it expanded to a kind of a crazy absurd level. We'll talk about that too. But they own 99 acres of vines. They are 100% biodynamic, Demeter certified. Really high ethos. The hills, the rolling hills of Sancerre are really interesting. They've got many different stony minerality soil types that are very similar to like Chablis. Lots of sand, lots of rock, lots of limestone, lots of fossils, and pretty complex soils. And you can really smell those bones in the soil when you smell this wine. Grapefruit zest and gunflint. Also, yes, you're gonna have flint, maybe some schist, some quartz in the soils. Typical to smell even a little bit of sea salt and maybe something like an Asian pear or a green pear, crispy type of pear. Sauvignon Blanc is the grape variety. Gooseberry, nettles, crushed black currant leaves. Um, some of the classic, at least from the English perspective, that's how they define the grape variety. This one's fermented at low temperatures because you want to preserve that freshness, that brightness, the crispiness. So they typically do it in stainless steel and a fairly reductive situation. But I know here, Jean Laurent and Jean Dominique, JL and JD, they do things with a modern kiss because they have some elevated vineyards and some really old sites. And these guys make money selling really high-end Sauvignon Blanc, really high-end Sancerre, single vineyard stuff. We had we had 6 bottles allocated to us of the really expensive stuff, and if that's not already gone from Vacheron, it's I've got like one bottle left. I underpriced it and it flew out the door because nobody gets that stuff. Um, and then there's a second single vineyard site that we've got that's close to $100 a bottle. The higher end stuff was like 150, 160, 170, something like that. And then there's $100 bottle stuff that these guys make. Now, why am I telling you about those wines? Because they put some of that high quality stuff into this wine. And some of that is going through large wood barrel to give it a little kiss of softness, roundness, not creaminess necessarily, because they don't go that far. You can't tell there's any wood in this wine unless you really compare it to other Sauvignon Blancs. There's just something a little bit more hypnotic going on in this wine, a little bit more, you know, the tension's higher, the detail, the focus, everything about this wine just sings, sings, sings. And I just got the wines within the last 30 days or so. These wines have not been critically reviewed by anybody else. Be very curious to see what others say. I gave you my score here, and I always include my little matrix to tell you it was 14 and a half out of 15 on color. I don't know. You could say give it 15. How can you fault it on color? 24 and a half on the appearance, 23 on body. I do think this wine is delicate. It's not as powerful and as over the top concentrated, but really good length, um, really good balance. But it's that intensity equation here that may just be a little softer. I dinged it a point. I don't quite honestly don't get many 100-point Sauvignon Blancs to compare it to, but overall, really love this wine. 34 out of 35. So we're at 96 points, and I will dance up and down and say that that is a really good mark for this wine. This is what the village of Sancerre looks like. Really beautiful, optimal, growing, great place to visit. Not often visited, to be honest. It's kind of the area less visited, but Loire Valley is a great visit. We're at $50 for this Sancerre. I'm gonna go on and talk to you guys and take a look at the comments here. Jim says, "Is it the cooler weather that gives this the Sauv Blanc its softness?" No, the cool weather gives it the incredible acidity structure. Probably magnifies that pH is very close to 3, and then that gives it that feel, that resonating feel of like the rock in your mouth. Uh, the cool weather helps with that. The deplete soils helps with that. The um, the softness comes from a little bit of use of wood, not picking at the wrong time, not overly pulverizing the fruit and releasing a lot of bitterness out of the fruit. There's techniques, there's the type of baskets, the type of equipment, the type of expectations that you have all to deliver on this wine. Ray Marie, is this Eastern France or am I looking at the map wrong? It is on the eastern side of the Loire Valley, kind of almost like directly under Paris.
Okay. Okay. So there's a river that kind of separates the two regions, or am I thinking of someplace else?
There's definitely a river. The Loire Valley River is very large and goes east to west.
Okay.
As it comes down into Sancerre, it it really kind of defines the region. And these
Okay.
are these are river-sided wines. They grow right up to the river.
Okay. Yeah, I just, just looking at the map that you had up, I'm I'm like, is this the whole map of the region? Because it looked like it was
The
Eastern,
way
but
it's the way they do it when they show Sancerre because Sancerre
yeah.
is so extreme to the side. It is kind of weird that even Sancerre's in the Loire Valley appellation because it's really pretty close to Chablis.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. My confusion.
No problem. No, it's easy. Um, so I'm going to taste this wine for the first time with you guys now, first time today. What I love about this wine is how delicate it is, the floral character, the just that wonderful balance that we can smell here between floral, the citrus, the grapefruit, gooseberry. Really, really, really pretty on the nose. I talked for a second about this wine does not need to be powerful. I think the balance here is the most important thing. And I think the fact that you taste it and you feel this wine subtle, the subtlety of this wine, the elegance of this wine for 30 plus seconds in your mouth, just cleansing and making your mouth salivate, but not being too powerful, really knows its place. And the delicacy here would be so phenomenal with great food in a great restaurant, which is where you're going to find this wine. Better restaurants get this wine. This is, this isn't going to be the least expensive Sancerre. It's not going to be the by the glass wine. It's going to be probably close to 125 to $150 on a wine list. And man, I would love to have this with uh, some recent dishes that we've been able to enjoy. Connie and Ted's, I did an event which was a celebration of white wines with seafood. It was all pescatarian feast, and we had amazing stuff happen there. And then we just did a dinner at Providence a couple of months, maybe a month and a half ago now, um, ago, and it's such a seafood haven there. The quality of the fish is so remarkable, and we had so many dishes in the beginning. It was like a 14 course extravaganza, but there's so much that they do there that would just be so elevated with a beautiful wine like this, where you can really just taste the seafood coming right through it, and that's what this wine's, built for. Any questions? Let's go back at it. Wine number 3. So we go from Melon de Bourguignon to Sauvignon Blanc, and now we're gonna edge into Chenin Blanc, famous to the wine region of Vouvray and Montlouis right next to it. This is La Rochère de Violettes, a, a favorite brand. Not my all-time favorite, but one of my favorites in this area. I really trust this brand, and this is their least expensive wine. Okay, so put this in context. What I'm showing you here is a really good value in Chenin Blanc. They are not trying to make Vouvray or Montlouis. They are making a Chenin Blanc, and it's declassified to Vin de France because it's outside of those areas, but it's fruit that they uh, deem acceptable for their brand, which means a lot. And so when we're looking at the Loire Valley map, Sancerre was way over here. You can see it here. And Muscadet over here. And you got this river that's kind of flowing through. And probably the main place if you're going to go and visit is the town of Tours right here. Um, and right up here is Vouvray. Saumur is over here, where they also make some really nice Chenin. And then right in here is Montlouis. Although I don't see the name on the map, I just know it's right in here. So we will move forward and see the next slide. Xavier attended school in Chablis, where he discovered his love for wine. Worked at some good places, got his degree in viticulture and enology, and founded this winery in 2005. The winery currently has 32 acres of vines. It's 100% Chenin Blanc. I would encourage you to look out for some of their top wines as well. But um, this particular one, I think you're really going to enjoy. Silky and got a wonderful finish. It's got really good character, and I think that Chenin Blanc really leans into some of the characters we'll explore here. Uh, Floral, damp straw, honey can have a little bit of a, a woolly uh, sheep's cheese kind of element to it sometimes. This one's going to be a little bit cleaner. Doesn't have a lot of the rustic tendencies that some of the old traditional houses have. This one's a little made by a guy who's got a degree in winemaking and doesn't have a 200-year-old cellar that he's working with, um, and really doesn't allow for any kind of Brettanomyces or anything to coexist with the wines. Here's our winemaker. These vines are maybe declassified, but they're 80-year-old vines. Imagine being able to work with some 80-year-old vines and get them at a really decent price. And they ferment it in stainless steel, preserving the fruit purity. Um, Dry and salty in texture. It is taut, great tension, and elegant with excellent balance. It's almost as if Chenin Blanc equivalent to a glacier spring water. A little length would be welcomed as the sense of wild herbs, lemon curd, and apple pastry. This is also an incredible value for the money. So let's take a look at that. $22.95 is our tariff on this wine here. It is a 2022, which I probably purchased middle of last year. I bought pretty heavy. I'm down to my last couple cases. This was like my big drop last summer. I think I purchased 10 cases of this wine. Being able to pick up a very decent price on a wine I really liked, and I knew that I would like this over the next couple of years. Also 22, really good vintage. This has got that honey, that kind of little bit of beeswax. Um, like I said, not a lot of that rusticity, not a lot of um, kind of the cheesy elements that you're going to see in some wines, some Chenin Blancs from this area. This one kind of stays a little cleaner, but does have nice mouthfeel, nice tension. Um, it's not huge though. It's $23, and I think it's in proportion with its price. If you, the more you pay, a little more the volume knobs can come up here and get a little bit more oomph. And we'll see that with our next wine a little bit too. I hope you enjoyed that. This is a wine I love to just pop on a casual night. Goes really well with all types of food. Love it with chicken. Love it with things like a pot pie or a casserole. Um, and anything with kind of a creamy sauce or butter sauce, this would really, really fly. A lot of vegetable terrine. It's just fun to sit around and drink to this one. I just really, really like it. If you came here for raw, sheer power, the first three wines that we tasted may not be in your bucket, but these were all very elegant, very pretty, very refined, very restrained, very, I think, dialed in. We'll get a little crazier here in a minute. Um, Talking about a class that I'm teaching this weekend on the 17th. I'll be back on Friday, back in town. So back to teach a couple of things this weekend. But on Sunday at my new classroom location in the Arts District, we're doing a deep dive on the wines of Spain, and we're showing quite a nice lineup. If you go to our Learn About Wine website and you clicked on the event, you'll see the pretty great wine lineup, a nice selection of reds, whites, and dessert, and it's uh, also accompanied with a really nice Spanish cheese plate. So come out and join us there. 99 bucks, by the way. Did I tell you that? That class is valued at $200, and all summer long we're featuring $99 programs at the new classroom. Also, quick plug for the trips that we're putting together. Um, in 26, there is a trip missing from this. I'm just noticing now. There'll be a Napa weekend at the end of January, and then we're going to Oregon at the end of February. And I just put Oregon up. If you want to check that out, it's not detail rich, but I got the schedule up and pretty much calculated the pricing as we've got most of our vendors figured out. We're just negotiating what day, where the appointments are going to go. And that takes a couple of weeks. So I wanted to give people a little bit of a head start to think about coming to Oregon with us because domestic travel is going to be kind of right on for some people this year. And price value, Oregon is a crushingly good deal. We get to do things at a very high level and keep the price very fair. The trip will include all the meals and the transportation during the whole weekend and all the experiences and stuff, and you're really going to get a ton out of it. It's going to be really fun. We're only taking 12 guests because that's how many can fit in the luxury vehicle up there and in the tasting rooms that we're going to go visit. So that's Oregon at the end of February. We got Napa at the end of January, and we're going to Corsica and Sardinia in April. And those details are getting very close to being ready to be published in October of 26. We got Paris, Champagne, London, Kent, doing a whole sparkling wine history of detailed tour, walking tours, and great appointments. Really sexy trip to France and London. And then how about New Zealand? We'll be going to New Zealand at the end of November and really loving that. We tasted the gentle and very pretty Chenin in glass number three. We're keeping it Chenin as we move into wine number four with the new vintage from Vouvray. Mm, it is new vintage. This This came in to us, gosh, maybe it's been 3 months now. And I'm sure the 04 24s are on their way, not yet released, but on their way. Wendy, thank you. I'm so glad. And you had it with chicken pot pie. How fantastic. That's so cool. If you're good at making that, you can send me one. I love those. Homemade is the best. All right. Vouvray, Vouvray. Um, Vouvray is really, a place where all the magic happened. It became a very popular wine, and maybe got too popular. They started making Vouvray to fill the needs of the demand. They made sweet Vouvray, sparkling Vouvray, off dry. Uh, it's got 1,000 different styles. So be careful when you're buying Vouvray. Um, I'm not going to tell you not to buy the sweet because I really like sweet at the right time. I also like balance, and that's what I think this one's going to bring us here. It's got a little bit more oomph, a little bit more ripeness, a little bit more character than our other Chenin. A little bit more money, but a good deal nonetheless. This is the Champalou family. I love the name Champalou. Catherine and Didier Champalou founded this place in 1983, so very similar to our prior producer. It is a highly acclaimed label. This one's imported by Kermit Lynch. And if you're in the Kermit Lynch portfolio, you kind of have exclusivity in the category of Vouvray. So when Kermit Lynch says, "Oh, my Vouvray is Champelot," boom, you're like automatically in half the French places around in the U.S. because Kermit's very well established in the French wine industry as a French wine importer, and this wine goes with all of those restaurants. 21 hectares, so about 50 acres. And look at these little old vines. That sustainability, that natural path, that, grass and legumes and flowers planted between the vines. This is what they do there. It's probably a lot of horse plowing and a lot of handwork. You also have quite a good amount of pressure from um, powdery mildew. So you're in your vineyards a lot, taking care of business and using things like they'll take the cow horns, fill them with manure, bury them, let them sit in the ground for a lunar cycle. They'll harvest those, they'll turn that into tea. And that sounds crazy, but they've been doing this for thousands of years. And this biodynamics, this tea that you're going to spray throughout the vineyard absolutely helps boost immunity and prevents some issues. And these folks all do it, and they all believe in it. 100% Chenin, ideal as an aperitif, pairs with grilled white fish and meats, shellfish, vegetable tons, and Japanese dishes. Here's the Chenin Blanc grape variety. Again, floral, damp straw, honey. I think you get a little bit more honey in the nose of this wine than the last. A little bit more viscous concentration. You feel this a little bit more. Mm, that is so good. It's got a little bit more oomph, a little bit more of that classic Vouvray character to it. Sticks around a little longer. It does have a little bit more of that traditional, I don't, not quite rustic, but I think you'll get some of that cheese, some of that honey, some of that quince, and all of those little subtle things that are very classic to Chenin. Whopping $25 a bottle. Huge price jump from the last wine of like about $2. I like that burnt sugar. I think that's a wonderful note there, Ray Marie. And it's just got that little twist of the volume knob there. Um, the we do carry another producer from Vouvray, very famous, called Huet, and you can find Vouvrays that climb the price points 40, 50, 60 plus dollars. And some of them are just coming from really noble vineyard designations, and they're making them potentially in a style such as this, which is be sec or dry. There's a style known as milieu, which is quite ripe and advanced, and they're working with these really ripe fruit to make milieu. And then they do make some demi-sec, and then uh, I think Huey also makes a pétillant, which is a sparkling. Let me check in on you guys and see how we're doing. Sandra, how are things for you? Everything good in life? Bravo. Wendy, thanks for your comments out there. Satsuko in Japan. Michael, I hope you're enjoying the wines. We move now into wine number 5. And this is going to be different. As I kind of alluded to at the top of the show, the Loire Valley has a very built in long term ethos system, very dedicated to making wines in the most natural ways, natural processes, playing around with different ideas and use of sulfur. And So here in this particular next wine will be considered an orange wine, and it is also a natural wine. I'm going to say Clos Roussely is the pronunciation here. It is an orange Sauvignon Blanc. I'll explain what that means. So here we are outside of Touraine. Vincent Roussely is the winemaker. This family uh, establishment was founded in 1917. Vincent is the fourth generation owner. About 9 hectares, about 25 acres, sustainable, organic, and biodynamic fruit. These guys are brought in to help chomp down the grasses. They, of course, fertilize things as they go, and um, really is part of the nature's balance, bringing in the sheep and these guys at this point in the year, as you can look at out of the vineyard, this is either early pre uh, harvest, or it's probably right before winter or right after winter. I guess you got green grass is growing, so winter may have just ended, but this place is not cutting back the canes potentially to prevent virus. So that's interesting. This is 60% Sauvignon Blanc, 30% Pinot, uh, Pineau, Pinot. It is 10% Chenin Blanc. It's skin contact. So they take the fruit, they bring it in, probably they're making it all together in one bin or one tank. They're leaving it in the cool, cold soak and allowing the skins to have contact. That orange peel and type of zest is coming from that time of skin contact. You get flavors of candied orange peel and yellow fleshed stone fruits with some clay minerality. And that there's considerable amount of time with the skins to be able to get that orangish color. The variety you might not have heard of before, Menu Pinu, is a variety that's indigenous to the Loire Valley. And you'll see it grape varieties like that more often in some of these natural wines. Side of the place, a look at the wine. I'm going to click open the website. One difference about Merchant of Wine is that every single wine we take time to find the notes from the winery and post them in here. Some of them carry the sound like the winery's talking about it, and we just don't have quite the time to knock that out or retool some of these things. Sometimes we don't want to. So, but you can read about the wines and the history of the wine. Here's some winemaking tasting notes. The nose is classic skin contact white wine with aromas of orange peel, apricot, and citrus pith. The palate has white wine tannin, as well as balanced by good acidity and flavors of candied orange peel, yellow flesh stone fruits, and clay minerality. Extended maceration with skins for color. The vineyard is located in the heart of the village of Angers and overlooks the banks of the Cher, located in Touraine Chenin Appalachian area. It extends over 8 hectares and is certified in organic agriculture since 2007. The oldest vines of the domain are 80 years of age. Clay limestone soil with flints, as well as the temperature climate, allow for superb expression of Sauvignon Blanc. The variety represents 80% of the area of the estate. The soil is maintained with respect by plowing and scratching the soil. We do not use herbicides, pesticides, or chemical molecules. The oldest vines are working using horses. We act to protect plant and animal diversity on the farm. You can come across horses, donkeys, sheep while strolling through the Clos. This is about 20 bucks, and I want to get your feedback. This is the first time I've ever overtly shown what is a very uh this is a current fad in wine. They've been making these wines for a while, but now they're really grown in popularity, and the price helps. The ethos really appeals to people that want to not put any additional chemicals in their bodies, and maintain, a very natural type of lifestyle. When you do it well and you do it right, then you can get these kind of really pungent, fun, fresh flavors. They can be really interesting.
So, Ian, I told you last week I'd never tasted an orange wine that I liked. I think they're hard to find, but this one is very good. Yeah, just
It's
so
kind
many different, the aroma's so different.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put this into almost like orange wine light because it is an orange wine for sure,
Mhm.
but it's not carrying with it all of the other craziness. I mean, there's some orange wines that are like they're dirty. You can see things floating in them. They've got, almost like an IPA beer aromatic. They have, almost no concern for the way the wine is going to taste when they make it. They're really promising is natural. Okay.
Yeah.
And here, there's a little bit more of a certainty of the style and a promise of this kind of orange character, um, a little bit of oxidation, a little bit of that orange peel, all that kind of adding up to a really fun wine. And this, if you go to some fun restaurants, this could be really interesting with some Asian cuisine, some
Mm.
different types of. I mean, anything Chinese would be really, but I think the Chinese people are going to be the last people to try these wines. But there are some fun, spicy little restaurants throughout LA that are really playing around with having skin contact whites, chillable reds, and that's kind of the program for natural wines. These are the categories.
And this has more to it than the ones that I tasted before. Was there any oak used in?
No, these are
No?
the, uh, maybe amphora.
Okay. Yeah, there's something that doesn't quite taste like complete stainless steel.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think they're also open topping it, punching it down, moving it around, and a little bit of oxidation is occurring for sure.
yeah. I am a member at a ceramic studio, and the nose I get, like when I walk in the studio and I smell the clay, it's like, oh, there's just like that hint of that. It's so weird.
I think that's very true. Very true.
Yeah. So thank you for introducing me to it.
No problem. Curious how Jim thought of that wine. What did you guys see you laughing? Give it to me straight, Jim.
I'm having a hard time with it. I have to be honest with you.
I am not surprised, Jim. I'm not.
Yeah.
I,
Well, okay, but why?
Why? Because you're a man that's been brought up with some different ideas on what wine should taste like. This is kind of like challenging those, and I think a lot of people, if you come in and you don't have any expectation of wine, and this is the first wine you're tasting, this might be appealing. But if you've had really lots of nice exposure to wine industry, you've tasted some good stuff, you've been around for a while, and somebody gives you this, you're like, there's some problems here. There's some things that are happening, that aren't quite normal, and it really kind of challenges normality.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I'm always looking for to widening the expanses of wines of names I can't even pronounce from countries that may or may not exist anymore. Yeah, this just you're right. I'm gonna have to work on this one for a while.
I'm just going to tell you this right now. It's not necessary. You
Or
don't have to like this
You
wine.
know what? I'm with you on that point.
well, or Jim, you could just
Ian?
enjoy it at the price point. You could order a lot of it and keep trying, keep trying.
To that point, I'm just going to make a comment, general in nature, that one thing I think that Ian, you have really introduced me to is the fact that let's just call it, say, $20, $25. Wines of the world less than $25, there is a tremendous breadth of really interesting, good wines that are, to be sought. And so that's why, I think we come here. Gary just got back from Loire, what, about a couple months ago?
Yeah. We spent 10 days in Loire, and this has been an absolute wonderful revision of what we went through. And we spent time all through Chinon and Saumur-Champy and Anjou and Touraine, and it was just absolutely brilliant. And to revisit these again has just been really a wonderful experience.
Awesome.
I wanted to ask you what you thought of the pet knots. We had an opportunity to sit down and do the pet knots, and then the cremants, and then French champagne, all put together in tastings. It was absolutely brilliant.
Cool. And that you're going to find a lot of pétillant natural in the Loire Valley for sure. In fact, I have only a couple. I'm not trying to be uh, a natural wine store, but I want to carry enough to, have a little bit of a ability for people, for families that maybe some of the family travels into that zone. There's quite honestly a growing audience for these wines and a growing number of quality importers and a growing number of wineries that are making these things for the export market. So yeah, the I'm not going to continue to pound the drum about natural wines, but Pet Nat is really flourished in the natural wine market. And it is just basically, capturing all the character in the bottle, and often, nothing is done to it. All the solids are left in the bottle, and it's not exposed to any further oxidation, and it's captured all that gas, and you have a crown cap on the bottle, and that keeps it fun, fresh, fast, racy, a little dirty, uh, but really, really delicious and fun and fresh.
Oh yeah, very fresh.
Yeah, and that's the whole idea behind the category. Once you open that bottle, disgorge, refill, age it, all that stuff. That's where you take the costs and the cost inputs jump, and the cost of the wine has to jump. So Pet Nat, typically $30-ish a bottle and less, maybe pressing into the mid 30s with a number of them now. There is some tariff price taking in wine for sure, and so I think it'll change the market a little bit, but pet nats are really fun, and being able to compare them to cremants and champagne. Some cremants are very difficult to tell from a champagne, and unfortunately, on Zooms is a little difficult, although we will Zoom at the end of the year with some bubbles. But that requires me to ship whole bottles. And that's why we can't do the Zooms, because these little jars just aren't good for the bubbles.
Thank you.
You got it. We finish strong with one of the great wines of the Loire Valley. We are going not only to Chinon, but to one of the top producers. This is a single vineyard, La Croix, Boissée. This is a 2019, so it's got a little bit of bottle age. I typically buy this wine about 3 cases at a time, and it's not the fastest mover because people know that this wine improves with some age, so they're waiting for it and scooping it up when it's about 5 years old, and so it's starting to move now. But next time I go to buy it, I'll probably be buying the 23, and it'll take a couple of years to move through. But always good to have a stock of a really good wine that's only getting better in your warehouse. Chinon, uh, as we've pointed out to a couple of other areas, this is the Predominantly, there are white Chinon and red Chinon, but this is predominantly thought of as a red wine growing area, surrounded by white wine growing areas, so that's okay. But Chinon is made from Cabernet Franc, and this is the brand Bernard Baudry. Imported also by Kermit Lynch. A lot of the Chinon producers are on the limestone hills. As you travel up and down the Loire Valley River, you'll see these amazing limestone outcroppings. Some people actually dare to live in the limestone caves, and there's some real. And we're talking about high-end houses that are along the Loire Valley River, inside of the limestone caves, um, and have a great view, and they have a really amazing perspective on life there. But the limestone also allows for a lot of the wineries kind of burrowed into and made their winemaking facilities into the hill. So you get a lot of that limestone kind of some there's like a there's an element of these wines that you can tell they're grown. These wines are aged in wood in a limestone, kind of moist, cool cave. You guys hear me okay? Just took my ears out. I'm gonna put them back in. Let's see. I don't want to lose you. Here's a look at the vineyard going through Chinon and going straight down to the river. You can see the river down there in the forest where all that vegetation is thriving. And then further across, you can see quite a bit of, in the vista there, you can see all the vineyards. This is kind of cool. You can see the Cabernet Francs, the bottles sitting on top of the soils, clays, and different striations of the soil. This is 100% Cabernet Franc. The bottling that we're tasting is right here. Cabernet Franc is a varietal, high acidity. Likes to take to a little bit of a chill on the wines. Um, Subtle, fragrant character to the wines. There's maybe even a floral element to it. Can have a little bit of smells like range from bell pepper to lead pencil, leafy. So some of that can be a little interesting. When it's done well, it's beautiful. When it's not done well, it can be a little wild. It's a gorgeous spot. It's again, this as Jim, as you know, this was is a great place. Gary went to the Loire Valley, and it's miles and miles of views like this. Um, and people there are so welcoming. They love having people visit their wineries and come tasting, and there's lots of great restaurants that
It was absolutely brilliant, and so many places don't even charge for you to come. We went to Coulee du Thay, which is right on the edge of town there, and he hadn't had people come. He didn't charge us €1, and he opened 12 different brand new bottles for us as
oh
we
my
sat there over an hour and a half. They are so welcoming, and and then the other thing that I found really interesting was the silex, the terroir of the silex that gives it this smoky kind of feel to so many of the throughout Saumur and Chinon. smokiness that I never had gotten here in California with the Cab Franc.
Yeah, that smokiness is thought to come from the flint in the soils and the rock minerality of the soils, and you can trace it back to like granite, schist, and other types of rock as well. And and there's some wineries that really celebrate, especially in Sancerre, where they celebrate that single soil type called Silex.
Mm-hmm. Just brilliant. And they love to call their limestone tuffeau. Their precious tuffeau. It was absolutely heartwarming to hear them talk about it.
Beautiful, beautiful. What just happened there? Looks like the last slide was a duplicate slide. I'm going to go to the website and let me pop that up. Baudry. There we go. Bernard Baudry, Chinon Rouge. We're at $52.95. This is at the higher end of the food chain in Chinon. I do carry a couple different Chinon in the store. Not a huge selection, but we carry a strata of price points. We go from Domaine de Palus at $21.95. A very solid, dependable Messange Rouge. This is a pretty popular version and a nice offering at that price point. Charles Jouget is a very good producer of Chinon at the $30 price point. And then our Baudry is our big boy. So we go down, I just want to see a couple of things here. Complex, powerful wine with firm tannins, unctuous, with aromas of very ripe fruit. The wine that will benefit from being laid down for several years. See, and this is what's kind of famous about Chinon. The more you pay for it, the longer you're probably supposed to wait to drink it. Not as spicy as the 2018s or generous. Redolent of red fruits and violets. Savory character of the 2019 red seduces us from the onset. The tannins are well integrated, and the wines are remarkably balanced. 92 points. That's from Cellar Tracker. This is another wine that is imported by Kermit Lynch, and Kermit just doesn't make these wines available for critical review. Some of them, the critics actually go and buy. But at Baudry, literally hundreds of cases, not thousands. This production is in the hundreds of cases, so pretty small. Um, let's get into the glass and see how it's performing. I love the color. It's got a great concentration of color. That perfume is exactly what you'd expect there from Cabernet Franc. It's the floral element is right there. You get some really different types of things with Cabernet Franc, and I think it can kind of set some people back a little bit. There's definitely just a little bit of rusticity here, be a little pungent, but it's kind of like walking into a flower store. I'm getting quite a bit of the smell of like lead pencil. Always something I smell in Cabernet Franc in here. It's definitely there. Feel that. That's a pretty concentrated, structured wine with carved tannins that are just melting in your mouth. Lots of structure, lots of character, and this is absolutely the brand standard for Cab Franc. I think wine geeks, if you said who makes the best Chinon, this would be the one. Um, I want to plug next week's Zoom. We're going Argentina from north to south. Last October, I took a trip to Argentina. This kind of follows our path a little bit, and we're going to taste a lot of new vintages. We'll go all over the place, not just Malbec, Cab Franc, Pinot Noir, some really interesting stuff, and a couple of great Malbecs to close it out. So next week is looking good. Here's kind of our lineup. Next week is Argentina. Then we have a really special Italian showcase on September 3rd. Take a look at those wines. Top Rhones of the world. Warning, there are no French Rhones in that tasting because we're doing a actual Rhone Valley tasting in October. So we're going from Australian Shiraz to Paso Robles, all over the place with our exploration of the Rhones of the world. We'll deep dive into Oregon on the 17th of September. And then great wines for pizza. We're providing everything but the pizza. We'll send the wines. We'll eat some pizza together and talk about what wines are working really well with pizza. And I've got some really fun ideas for you guys. Thank you guys for being the biggest part of this program. And I hope you guys enjoy the effort. And I apologize again for our kind of squeaky beginning today with the technology. I see quite a few comments I didn't necessarily pay a lot of attention to, so I apologize for that too. Wendy, thank you for all the things that you said out there. You said on the orange wine that you would have mistaken that one for Italian or Sicilian. And of course, there are some oranges that you could go to from both those places too. And I think the consistent thread is that orange ginger, orange gingerbread. You're going to get a lot of those kind of smells in your orange wines.
Oh.
What was that, Gary?
No, I was just teasing Jim.
Hey, Ian, just a quick thought on this particular last wine. So I've had a number of Chinons, and I've had everything from a translucent light all the way up to this, which is almost in a very positive way Merlotish. There's a depth to it. So that area can produce just about anything with this particular grape.
Um, I want to understand the question.
Well, no, I've
Cab Franc?
had Chenin that was translucent. It was light embodied and very, very feminine from a wine
Okay.
aspect.
So the wine that we're tasting here, the Chinon, is
Chinon.
Chinon is made from Cab Franc.
Right, but I've had Chinon
Okay.
that has been
Yeah. It's about yield. It's about what the expectation is of the producer. And Bernard Baudry, he doesn't make $20 Chinon.
got it.
He is all about making long aging benchmark Chinon. And yeah, buyer beware. You're gonna want to make sure that these got a little bit of time on them. I'm gonna tell you right now, when drinking it tonight, I love where this one's at.
Mhm.
But 2 years ago, it was pretty, closed up. The nose here is really starting to release, and it that wasn't ready to drink a couple of years ago. but you kind of have to put your chips in and hold it for a little bit of time. And this wine's got, you know, gosh, this wine might outlive us. It's got a nice long, you know, long time that you can be tasting the Bernard Baudry that we tasted tonight. So it's in a really beautiful spot and very concentrated, very powerful, and very structured. And that's the difference is all about the expectation of the person who's growing the fruit and how they grow the fruit. And then they're picking it a particular way, they're aging it a particular way, and they're bottling it thinking long term at Baudry. So those are all decisions that producer is making, and that makes this wine a little more expensive, and the prestige that it comes with it.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ian.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you all. Have a great night. I hope to hear some better news from my Dodgers. They're going to continue to lick their wounds. The Padres caught them and are tied for first place now.
And the Padres killed the Giants today. Did you see that? Like,
No, I swear I can't even look right now. I get disgusted. So
yeah.
I'll catch up in a couple of days. But I think Shohei pitches
Tonight.
Yeah,
Tonight, yeah. Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. But they've lost 5 in a row to the Angels. That just tells you how. I mean, the Angels are really an interesting team this year. I like them, but you don't lose 5 in a row to the Angels.
No. No. Especially in extra innings.
Yeah. I will be back in LA on Friday. August is pretty light for us as far as class load. I do have a champagne tasting at the end of the month. If anyone's in LA, that's about it between here and there. Oh, I've got a dinner with my friend Clay Moritz in Pasadena. Uh, Clay's coming down to do, it's kind of a celebration of our 30th anniversary, learn about wine's 30th anniversary this year. So got Clay, who's one of my best buddies in Sonoma and best friends in life. Actually, I was the best man at his wedding. He was the best man at mine, and he will be down to do a dinner with me at a really great steakhouse in Pasadena called Alexander's. Jim, you might want to check that out. I think you'll really enjoy it. Clay Mortson is one of the best human beings on the planet, and I want to surround him with some really great people. And I think you'll really love the food and the wine that we're going to be pouring that night. And then in December, another very good winemaker friend is coming down to do a dinner with me after harvest. That's Aaron Pott from Napa Valley. And we're going to pair him up. Now, Aaron grew up in France and speaks French. His wife is French, and he worked in Bordeaux. So I've got my Michelin-starred chef friend Christophe Emmy doing the food for dinner with Aaron Pott. It'll be a really special, very intimate gathering because Christophe doesn't mass produce food. So look for that in December. I think it's Saturday the 14th or 13th. Those tickets are sitting there fairly promoted. I haven't published the wines or the menu yet, but the price is a steal. And so if anybody wants to join us for a very special meal, that'll be incredible. Thank you guys. I hope to see you soon, and I'll stick around and answer any questions and shoot the shit with you guys if there's anything you want to talk about.